Hello everybody, and welcome to another episode of Scrap Mechanic Survival, where I'm going to share my vehicles with you. And I'm sure everybody has their own vehicles, everybody perfected them in their own way the best they can, and those are mine, and maybe you will find something interesting about it. Maybe you'll even find some inspiration in those vehicles, who knows. But basically, well, I'm going to start with this one. This is like, let me drive it out. This is like the mother of them all. Obviously, the first main vehicle should be the first serious vehicle, obviously, because the first one is like a scrappy one. You just want to get out of the uh, crashed site. But basically, the first vehicle you should build is something that you can get resources with, and that is grinding the stone and cutting the trees. So, without further ado, this is my first work vehicle. Obviously, if you're like me, you're going to rebuild your machines to make them work even better than the prototype versions of them. So obviously, this vehicle have been rebuilded. Well, not rebuilded. It came through some upgrades. This wasn't the final version, obviously, when I was building it, but the main thing that you might get struck by is the main material I've been using is pipes. I really like to use pipes for building vehicles. I discovered it when making my first journey through the road. I discovered those little shacks with the fresh signs attached to them, and I discovered the fresh signs are attached to the metal pipes. Then you can take the metal pipes, and at the early stage of the game, this is like a very valuable resource, because it takes a little while before you can make your own metal pipes, and you can just use the stolen one to build a vehicle. So I built the first one with the stolen pipes. Obviously it was a little smaller back then, but it had the grinding thing, and it had the little saw blade at the front, and I decided I would rather have the saw blade hidden. So basically, obviously have the lights. If I want to grind stuff, I use my 4 grinders, the main 2 front and the extra top ones that I can just use to go up and down, right, and grind my stones. No, trust me, it works very well. Obviously, I can make another video where I grind stones. If you really want to watch that, I can do that. I can make it happen. But trust me when I tell you, it works really well. Now, if I want to cut a stone, if I want to cut a tree, then first of all I take my saw blade out. It's in both horizontal and vertical positions, because sometimes I may want to cut the stump out, right? So, well, I just need to operate with this button to cut either horizontal or vertical. But once it's in settled position, it's vertical, not horizontal, because when you chop the tree down, obviously it lays on the ground, and you need to right cut it, the stump, and the stump sometimes pushes away, right? So I made like a little grabby things that can hold the tree in place, right? Goes under it, grabs the tree, and then it gets chopped very nicely. Right after that all is done, I just turn it off. It gets all hidden. Now I really like when it all gets hidden and compact, because it makes the car look like a car and very nicely drivable. It has a gas tank at the front, has a battery pack at the back, because at some point of the game I discovered it's way better to use gas tanks to power your vehicles, and electric engines to power your machines like grinders and saw blades. Now, I'm gonna leave it up to you guys to figure out why, because there's just too much explaining. But basically, yes, that's the best setup. That's why I used electric engines to protect my farm with all the saw blades. That's why I'm using electric engines for those items as well. I'm using two separate electric engines so I can power saw blade separately, and another one for the grinders so that I can use them all separately. Now once it's all done, you may want to collect all your items without actually exiting the vehicle. That's what I got this for. So I can just pop the container at the front and collect stuff easily. It's much harder to drive right now. Oh, what are you doing here? And why? Okay, now let me continue. So, it's a bit harder to drive a vehicle like that, but obviously this position is not meant to drive the vehicle, it's just meant to collect some resources and then put it back in place. And now the vehicle drives very well again. And obviously the last button is for radios, because you cannot forget your music while you're working hard. Music makes everything much easier. So this is the first vehicle, the one that made it all happen, right? Thanks to that vehicle I managed to get all the materials that I could to build all the stuff that I have. But at some point you stop building, you start exploring. And when you explore, you want to have a different vehicle. While you're exploring, you might find something like that. Here's a prisoner. And at the beginning you might not know what to do with him. Like I did, right? I found something like that and I didn't have a clue what to do with him. So I just whacked him all the way to my base, which looked way different back then. And I kept him here until I discovered trader, and well, that's a little bit of spoiler, but maybe also a tip. I discovered a trader, and that this is part of the currency in a trader. You exchange them along with the fruit and veggie crates for things like guns, clothes, and well, other things. So basically you need them, and you need quite a lot of them, because like one gun takes one of them, another gun takes two of them, and another gun takes another two of them, then clothes take more of them, and basically, well, you need quite a lot. The first guy I found like that, I just whacked him all the way to the trader with my hammer, which is quite a bit, because I didn't know any better way to transport him. So then, after I figured out I need a lot of them, well, I just started to think, how can I actually make them transport? And then I won't lie, it took a minute, but then I came up with this solution. And introducing the looter scooter. The looter scooter is like a smaller vehicle with 4 smaller chests. At the beginning it only had 2 chests. As I mentioned at the beginning of the vehicle, my cars, at the beginning of the video, my vehicles were expanding with time. Like at some point my body joined me in game, so I added a second seat. At the beginning it was just 1 seat in the middle. This car was a little more narrow, a little smaller and everything, but then it expanded. It expanded with this very cool feature, which is purely cosmetic, but it's still very, very cool. And also another feature. Took me a while to figure it out, but I did. So this is my way of transporting those guys. Right, I got the pistons, and oops, made a little too harsh turn over there. It's powered by bearings and pistons, 1 controller, well 2 controllers actually, because it's 2 actions, right? Because 1 action lowers the piston and extends it, and the second action grabs the guy and puts the piston backs in place and makes it much easier to drive when obviously it's closer to the vehicle. And that's how I'm transporting my NPCs when I find them. But then obviously, well, my buddy joined me in game. This is like a prototype, right? And once I tested it, turns out it works. Everything is grand. It's pretty nice. So I want to make it nicer looking. I want to make it with the better materials. I want to have more room in it and stuff like that. So this is my looter scooter. That was a prototype for another vehicle. Just gonna get there quickly. Introducing. Oh my god, the slow door. The door is slow because I just didn't bother to upgrade the controller to make it faster. Introducing the Looter Scooter 2.0, made with obviously better materials, painted. Some of the blocks are actually stolen, like this pipe over here is stolen from a signpost along the road. Those pieces of block are stolen from a fence that you can find at any guarding post at entrance of any warehouse. What else? The cables also from the same place. The lamps are stolen from a warehouse. This is stolen from a warehouse. This is stolen from the top of the warehouse from antenna. So some of the pieces are actually stolen, but most of this car is, well, the whole base of it is made with the strongest metal. So the whole shell is made with the strongest metal. It has the same features as the first one, Looter Scooter, but it has a little bit more chests because it has 4 chests at the back, 2 chests at the front. It has a oil tank for longer trips, and so that I don't have to actually walk out of my vehicle and keep on replenish the gas in the engine. And also obviously it has the feature of transporting NPCs, but the feature actually it's in 3 steps instead of 2, because the third step, or maybe the first one, is also with the cover, right? It has a cover right now. It's not just like out in the woods. It's covered like in the back compartment with the pretty lights and everything, so it's a little bit cooler right now. Yeah, it's all painted. So yeah, those are my vehicles. I hope I could have inspired somebody, and if you enjoyed my idea about how to transport those prisoner NPCs, I could actually make a step-by-step video on how to create this piston grabber thingy. I can make it for a 2-step like in the first Looter Scooter, or a 3-step like in this one with the cover and everything. And yeah, and now we just take him to the trader, and that's it. I would like to dedicate this video to my dear friend Stevie, who I've been playing this game with. He's not online right now, but he has a birthday today, so happy birthday, man. Live long and prosper in good health. Wish you all the best. And the same to all of you guys. Have a great time, and thank you very much for watching.